My Twitter feed is just full of stupid discourse every day, every day, every day. This is what happens when you follow lots of people from different political spectrums. This is what happens when you follow different people who were on different sides of the Gamergate debacle. The thing is, and then also, you just follow people who just like video games and every so often chime in. You're not going to hear certain people like the completionist, for example, or, lots of people who have very good opinions on games talk about something like fucking tits, okay? And the reason why is because it's a non-controversy. What that means is it's not actually a real controversy. And the fact of the matter is, the reason why you see Polygon and Kotaku talk about Tifa's tits so much is because they want to shame the people who are getting really riled up over the tits, which only riles up the people more who are talking about the tits. The reality is everyone just wants to talk about fucking tits instead of talking about any of the real merit when it comes to the game or any of the possible flaws. For example, I am very concerned with the team composition structure and what content they're going to be adding in to stretch this game out, because this game probably shouldn't end at Midgar, but that's what they're going for. So it makes me wonder what all the extra content they're going to have to add in to make this game a fully fledged, full on game. I'm not saying it won't be a full game, but I'm saying, they're going to have to add some shit in if they're going to stop it at Midgar, because Midgar's not even that far into the game. That's maybe chapter one out of like, multiple chapters. So, that's all I'm saying. And other people have complained about some of the graphics and textures and stuff. And, maybe that'll change when the game comes out. Once we saw the game at this E3, I think the lighting and everything looked so fucking good. I think the game looked amazing. And compared to when we first saw the gameplay, it looks way better. So we're going to probably see some changes before the game comes out. I mean, it doesn't even come out till March of next year, so we've still got a hot minute, right? And then in that, of course, that's only this first game. The sequel will probably be, way different and upgraded because it'll probably be on the next generation of consoles. But what we're here to talk about right now are fucking tits. And the reason why we're talking about tits is because in certain cutscenes of Final Fantasy VII, Tifa has giant cartoonish tits. Now the thing is that her tits have never been like the reason why I like the character. Um, because when they're chibi, they're just like little. They look, people make fun of the Popeye arms. If you've seen Oni and G made a cartoon about Final Fantasy VII with Stamper voicing Cloud, and I think he voiced Barrett and Tifa too. And everyone is in like their polygonal chibi form, and they look so silly. And Cloud's playing with Tifa's tits, and like he kills an enemy by stabbing it with his hair and shit like that, because the game looks goofy as fuck. To me, this game kind of like when I play Final Fantasy VII, I reimagine what the graphics would look like if the game was made today. That's what I did last time I played the game. And it was kind of like, if I remade the game, I would keep it literally the same, just with better graphics. So I understand why they're not doing that. I don't think that what I'm saying is superior. I understand they're trying to make something new for everyone. And when you look at an example like Resident Evil 2 Remake, it's easy to see that this is usually a good thing because now we just have two good games versus having only one game that just has better graphics. That's how Crash Bandicoot is. It's like, yeah, it doesn't matter which version of Crash you play. One just has a different aesthetic to it. Um, I would say, Crash Trilogy you can play on Switch, so that's like, or you can play on Steam. So there you go. That's the reason why you would get that over the original one. But I want to talk about some background with me because I'm not an SJW type. I'm not someone who goes on and on about women's bodies and games. I'm a man, I'm a male, and I do like me some games. I like some Dead or Alive. I already reviewed Dead or Alive. I complained about Dead or Alive because the newest one, they said they're going to tone down a lot of the sexuality. and it's still so embarrassingly Japanese and cutesy moe, and there's still tits and panty shots in it, to the point where I'm like, why'd you tone it down if you're gonna keep it in somewhat? Like, if you have it in at all, you're just gonna piss people off. But because you didn't go all the way, you're just making all the fans of Five say, "Oh, this isn't as sexual and lewd," and that's one of the things they like about the game. So, to me, it's like, why did you? What was the point of toning it down? Because you didn't tone it down. You need to take it away. You either take it away, or you leave it in. And the reality is, they basically left it in. It's just, it seems like they're just being lazier about it. So that whatever they are saying when they're saying they're gonna make the game less sexual and more appropriate for a fighting game, it's like, no, you guys, they didn't really do that. They might have said they did it, but they didn't really do that. When you played Dead or Alive 6, they didn't really do that. And I complained about Mortal Kombat's costumes, which was a big fiasco for a while. A lot of people, chimed in on this. Um, I think that the conversation about Mortal Kombat and the female characters was a lot. It was very, very biased in both sides. Both sides were very, very biased. And my whole opinion was, hey man, I'm fine with you toning down, all the skin being showed in Mortal Kombat, but the costume design is really lacking here. And I mean, if you already have characters who are already sexual, why not leave some of them in and sexual, and then make new characters who aren't as sexual? Like Cassie Cage and Jackie Briggs aren't nearly as sexual characters as someone like, say, Katana, who's a sexy ninja, and Jade, who's also a ninja character. Melina's not in the game at all, but Melina is someone who I think it actually makes sense for her to show off her body, because her face is like deformed demon face, right? So it would make sense that she would want to lure you in, almost like a siren or something, and or like a harpy or something, right? So I like that for Melina's character design. I think that's actually important for her character aesthetic, and there's something cool about a chick who's like wearing barely anything but has this disgusting face. Like, I think, and I'm not talking about ugly. I'm talking about like a monster face. She's Tarkatan. I like that. So, but what I'm basically trying to say here in it is that, some people, they like sex in games, and some people despise it. It used to be back in the day that if you put sex in your games, it would sell. Today, I don't think it helps your sales at all. However, I don't think it hurts your sales either. I think that people are okay with it for the most part. Like, I think there's a gross misunderstanding with Japan right now. They think the West really fucking hates sexual stuff in games, and the reality is that we have a very, very vocal minority of people who hate it, and they just happen to be working for all of the fucking journalist publications. And everyone basically in America says, no, we hate journalists. We hate games journalists. We all hate games journalism. No one likes it. No one reads it. The only people who are into it are the people who basically work for, like, people who this is their job. No one likes it. Everyone just watches Donkey, and they used to watch Total Biscuit before he passed away. That's what people cared about. They don't care about the rest of this shit, okay? Like, we watch Jesse Cox. We watch Angry Joe. We watch Maximilian Dude. And most of us will either laugh at the sexual stuff, or will enjoy it in a sexual way, or will just say whatever. I don't think most people actually care. I don't think people are that offended. I think women can laugh at it. I think a lot of women are also just bisexual, so like, or lesbian, and hey, they exist too, and hey, they might like it. So again, it's like, you're not turning people away from, sexualized women. When you look at something like Game of Thrones, which has very sexualized women, very sex heavy scenes, very, sex driven stuff in the show, and characters that fit that mold. I mean, season one of Daenerys Targaryen is just her being basically raped, and then because she was sold off to the Dothraki, and she's like, "I'll just learn to enjoy it." Like, and no one really had a problem with it, and they actually kind of, people liked it. They liked this character. They liked the character of Daenerys. So I'm not saying that's the best writing, but it is a good example of people do like sexual stuff, whether it be sexualized women or sex in general. People do like it. You can't, I all I'm really here is this, and I mean, obviously, my opinion is that it's pretty normal to like it. It's pretty natural. My opinion is that if we shouldn't do it, in every game, and it doesn't belong in every game. But there's certain games where it's like, hey, just so you guys know, and most games don't try to hide it. Like Nier Automata, most people know about her butt, and most people are fine with it and still really like the game. And it's because we kind of understand, a lot of weeaboos in America understand, and Europe, of course. We all kind of understand the culture surrounding anime and Japanese games, and we all kind of get it, and we all are fine with it, and we all think it's cool. There's nothing wrong with that. You know. So now let's all talk about Tifa, because that's all my opinion on like basically everything past involving sexuality in games versus SJW culture. And I say SJW the word, I say SJW culture and stuff, but I want you guys to know I actually don't like hate people just because SJW ideology, or I don't think that SJW ideology is always wrong. I don't think it just because it's SJW means it's automatically wrong. You should still hear people out, hear what their opinions are. I was pretty pro Gamergate, and then when I saw a lot of people and what they had to say in Gamergate, I started to realize a lot of people who were prominent figures in Gamergate were really like people I don't agree with on a lot of things, and people I really think are stupid, and people I really didn't like. And I don't think Gamergate needed to be left versus right, but somehow it turned into that, and I think it's both sides were at fault. And I think when it comes to this is just like, journalists hating gamers, basically. And here's the thing about Tifa's tits. The argument is complete bullshit. The fact that we're having the conversation at all is total bullshit. That's why I said earlier it's a non-controversy. The reason why it's total bullshit is because Tifa has been reimagined in high def graphics multiple times. And a lot of people who are writing for these publications like Kotaku and Polygon, they were probably around my age when Advent Children came out. So they were probably like when I was like I was like 13, 14. They were probably around that same age. They were probably in either middle school or high school or maybe early college. They probably had very different opinions than they do now. And they probably saw Advent Children. And they probably played Kingdom Hearts 2 and saw Tifa in Kingdom Hearts 2. Did they play Dissidia, whatever, Duodecim on PSP? When they added Tifa into Dissidia and she was wearing her classic costume in high def? Because if you did all that, or you saw Tifa in Crisis Core. In Crisis Core on PSP, where you play as Zack, you actually get to do the Nibelheim incident, and Tifa's in the game for that one section. Yeah, Tifa's been in these games for a while, man. This is not the first time we saw HD Tifa. This is not this is definitely not the first time. We were just all kind of wondering what she would look like because Barrett kind of got redesigned a little bit. Cloud and Aerith seemed to be mostly faithful to their original designs. But Tifa's design her outfit is very, very 90s anime Japan. In anime, a lot of characters, especially back in the day, would wear really, really short skirts. And I think in Japan, that's just part of the culture, is like a lot of girls will wear short skirts. It's like a fashion thing. But the idea is that you wouldn't fight in a short skirt. You would just like wear a short skirt, but you probably would like, it's like, any woman today, in any country would tell you if they wore a short dress or a short skirt, they would probably have restricted movement, and they would probably sit with their legs crossed, and they would be conscious of the fact they're wearing a short skirt. So the idea that someone would fight and do martial arts in a short skirt, it's kind of doesn't make sense. And so for those of us who have played Final Fantasy Type 0, It's a pretty decent PSP game that later got ported to PS4, and I played the PS4 version a bit. And the basically every female character was, because they're all wearing school uniforms, you could just see up their skirts constantly. And I didn't know, like, I was like, is this a lewd game or is this not supposed to be a lewd game? Because normally when that happens in a game, it's considered like a lewd thing. Like normally you don't see up people's skirts and dresses, especially because in Japan they actually are a lot stricter on the guidelines for stuff like that. In fact, it's the reason why in Super Smash Brothers, you have to make the characters wear shorts under their dresses or skirts, or you have to put that black void, because in Brawl, you could see a Peach's dress, and she had like bloomers on, like not like she didn't have like sexy panties or whatever, but she had like freely bloomers that like you would kind of expect someone from that era to wear, and I guess that's considered her underwear, so you couldn't show it in Smash. Like in Brawl, you could because the rules were different. In Smash 4, they were like, no, if you put panties and up, and you make it so you can see them, then we have to give the game a higher rating. So yeah, and so Sakurai complained about that actually for Smash 4. And that's why in Smash 4 and Ultimate, that's what you get. You don't get to actually see what's up there. I'm kind of fine with that, but I'm just saying, um, like, because in Smash doesn't bother me nearly as much. I never really, the idea of looking at Peach's dress, like that's never really. I don't think Peach's that. Yeah, I just whatever. That's whatever. But um, the point is that that's a thing. That's part of the rules. So what? They just gonna make Tifa to where you can just always see up her skirt while she's fighting. You're gonna be playing the game, doing a lot of kicks and stuff. And then it's like, what? You gotta give Tifa white panties, black panties, or you can give her some weird colored panties. It won't make any sense because she wears all black and white. You gotta give her either white or black. And what if people get mad that the color's wrong? So it's like, screw this. Just give her like athletic spandex shorts. And so they did. And no one's really complaining about that because most people understand how silly that would be if Tifa was running around and just constantly doing high kicks and showing her underwear to everyone she's like friends with. That would be kind of weird, right? That doesn't really make sense. It kind of breaks the reality of the game, but it was fine on the PS1 because in the PS1 version, the game had very primitive polygonal graphics and it wasn't like a big deal, right? So almost no one is complaining about the skirt shorts controversy. So what they did was they gave Tifa a little bit more black under her tank top. And I remember my little brother saying something like, "Oh, it's just not what I expected." And I was like, "No, but it looks super cool. I love it. It's white and black, and that's her color scheme. They're staying faithful to that." And they did her earrings really well. I really like how she looks. Her face is perfect. Her hair is still unrealistic anime, and that's fine because that's who she is. That's what she's supposed to look like. Um, like in Advent Children, they cut her hair way shorter. You just couldn't tell because her hair is so fucking long. It's supposed to like go down to her ankles basically. And in this HD remake, it's still really fucking long like that. So, um, and yeah, basically, oh, and they gave her higher socks, which again is like, I don't, I don't see the problem with the socks. That seems fine. I don't, I'm just saying, it's just like an aesthetic choice, I guess. But I do like that they put a lot more black on her, so she's got way more of the white black color scheme thing going on versus just being having like a white shirt and a black skirt, and that was like her colors, and the rest is just like her skin. But she also, yeah, so she has the black on her shirt now, and that black is her undershirt, which it's not an undershirt at all. It's a sports bra. So the idea is that yeah, she has a sports bra on, and it's very noticeable. And normally, her shirt hangs low enough to where you would see cleavage, but because she has a sports bra on, you can't see nothing. So I've talked about this issue for 20 minutes now, and here's the root of it. um, her boobs have the thing about her boobs, right, is that they were really big and unproportionate to the rest of her body. When you actually saw her fighting, in battle, they weren't like that super huge. They were like C's, and that's what they look like now. They look like she has like C's. But in some of the cutscenes, her boobs were like bigger than her head. It was ridiculous. Her boobs are cartoonishly big. And that's not a big deal. That's not a problem in the PS1 version of the game because, like I said, primitive polygonal graphics. The game looked as good as it could have at that time because it was a pretty early PS1 game, and obviously Final Fantasy VIII came after, and 8 has way fucking better graphics. The graphics at 8 are just, they really showed you what the PS1 could do versus FF7, which is like, okay, they didn't know what they were doing at the time, It's part of why FF7 really needed a remake. Um, Honestly, they could have remade FF7 on PS1 with FF9 or 8's graphics, and it would have been a totally different experience because it's still going for the chibi style that Final Fantasy 1 through 6 was doing, and it's the only Final Fantasy game that like does the chibi style that's in 3D basically. I know some of you might consider 9, but I don't think they're chibi in 9. I think they're just all short characters, and because they're all like kids and stuff. I think there's other characters who are adults who are bigger. Um, but yeah, FF7, and Tifa, you kind of have to imagine what the character looks like in your head. Yes, they have artwork, and that's what you go off of. But the idea that her tits are too small now, it's just baffling to me because it's like, what are you basing that off of? Again, if you haven't watched Advent Children or haven't played any PSP game ever, I kind of understand. But why are we catering to you, the non Final Fantasy VII fan? I don't get that. Like, where were you? Where was this outrage back then? It was non-existent. And it's just like, again, you guys imagine Tifa having giant ass boobs. I The way she looks is how I imagined her. In fact, a lot of fan art, a lot of people would do renders of Tifa in like CG graphics, and her boobs would be like relatively around the size they are now. So to me, this is how she's supposed to look. Like, I don't think there was an original idea where like her tits were like enormous double D's, and like they tried to animate that for the PS4 version of the game. I don't believe that's the case. Sorry, but I don't. This is very proportionate. The way they look now is very proportionate to her body, um, and they look normal. They look fine, and her design looks really good. I really like her new design. Yeah, you don't get to see her as in a lewd light. You don't get to see up her skirt constantly. You don't get to see her cleavage and stuff like that. But yeah, she's wearing a sports bra. It kind of reduces the size a little bit, and it's probably not going to be bouncing all over the place. It's probably going to be like normal game. It's going to look pretty fine and normal, and so the people could. That's what I'm saying. This is not an issue. No one's. I don't think that many people are actually like talking about it in the way that games journalism is trying to make it out like. But I've definitely seen people on my Twitter timeline trying to say they did it all wrong and they need to fix it, and it's like, oh, this is SJW censorship or something like that. It's like, it's really not, guys. It's just and this is coming from someone who doesn't like what Mortal Kombat did, someone who doesn't like what Dead or Alive did, someone who uh, praises games like Bayonetta and Nier for sticking true to their guns, someone who praises games like Senran Kagura because, in my opinion, if a game plays well, then it has some merit to it. If the game is only about sex appeal and it plays like shit and it's not any good, then the game sucks. And I don't want to champion those games. I don't want to promote those games. Those games suck. But if a game plays well and has sex appeal in it, I think that's good. If there's fun to be had in the game, then that's good. Even the Dead or Alive volleyball games, I think are fun. I think there's fun things about those games. I don't think they're just pure lewd, etchy trash. I think they have merit to them. So But it's like when we look at SNK Heroines, I was excited for that game, but then I learned how primitive it is and how there's no duck abilities and how the gameplay is just so basic that I was like, oh no, I don't want this anymore. Like, I didn't think it was gonna be casual baby's first fighter. I thought it was gonna be like an actual fighting game. And if you look at it, that game's been dropped like it's been dropped so fast. Like people don't like that game at all. People don't talk about that game anymore. That game's dead. And it's not because of the sexual nature of the game. Because look at a game like Soul Calibur, which is sexual as hell and it's still live and kicking. It's not about the sexual nature of the game at all. It's completely has everything to do with the fact that the game is primitive, casual, and for babies. It's not a good game, you know. So that's what matters here. Sex doesn't usually. I don't think it usually affects the sales that much. I think people who are turned off by it are equal to the people who are turned on by it. It literally turned on in this case. And I think it's fine. Like I think it's your decision as a publisher, and either I'm gonna play a game no matter what. I don't care. I'll play a game no matter what. None of that stuff is gonna turn me away. Even if it was like all men and all men in speedos, like in front of the whole game and like oily wrestling each other. If the game's fun, if it has fun merits to it, if there's good things about the game, and I always am looking for the positives. I'm not here to try to tear every game apart. I'm trying to explain why people might like something. If the game's got some positive aspects to it, and I can understand why people like it, beyond the sex appeal, then to me it's a good game. So yeah, even if it was a game that totally did not appeal to me as a straight man, I would still, if the game was fun, I would still play it. So yeah, that's my opinion. You know, so at the end of the day, that's what's most important. And what's most important is that Final Fantasy VII Remake is looking hella good. It's looking amazing good. And I'm really impressed with what I'm seeing. Again, still concerned about the length of the game and how they're going to handle everything that happens in FF7 in Midgar. But, uh, whatever. It should be good. It looks like the game will be mostly a good time, and I'm gonna be happy. And as long as if people still play the original, that's good. I don't want this game to replace the original because I think the original is such a great masterpiece of a game, and I already know this game won't replace it because there's gonna be multiple versions of it. And I'm honestly hoping that people who are hyped to play it play the original first, and I'm hoping that people who play the first game are like, man, I gotta know what happens next, and they play the original. Same thing happened with like Game of Thrones. People watch the first few seasons, and then they're like, I don't want to wait for the next season, and they started reading the books. Then they started reading and watching at the same time, and that's a good thing. That's how this should work. New, improved, mainstream versions of games shouldn't replace the original. So I'm hoping that people who've never played the original, who really want to play this new remake, do go back and play the original, and maybe they don't do it until they play the first one or whatever. But I hope they do that. I hope that's what happens. So that's my 2 cents on the remake. My opinions on the remake are basically all about the length of the game, the gameplay, and all that. My opinions on Mortal Kombat were different. I did mention I don't like the character designs for a lot of the female characters. I think a lot of them look really bad and really stupid. And all I'm saying is if you want to desexualize your characters, at least make them look good. At least give them cool designs. At least make them look badass and worth your time. I don't want characters wearing like aerobics gear. I don't want characters wearing military armor. It's so fucking boring, okay? I think Scarlet got the worst of it. And Scarlet's design is that her original design in Mortal Kombat 9 was she was basically naked and barely had a bikini on at all. And I understand that's really silly for a character in a fighting game about killing each other, but if the whole point is that she's a sexy ninja assassin character, which is it makes sense for them to fight lightweight. I don't think it should be a literal bikini, but it makes sense for certain female characters to fight showing midriff, to fight in short shorts or a skirt or something like that. It makes some sense in some cases. I don't think a bikini is necessary, but I will say, don't put her in so much tight armor. Don't put her in like so much clothes that it's ridiculous. Like it just doesn't look good at all unless you make those clothes a part of an aesthetic theme, a part of something. All the characters in Mortal Kombat 11 look the same to me. Like the only reasons they look different is because the game has really good graphics and the facial features are really good. And so for a character like Katana, you can really tell that she's got Asian features. And I dig kind of what they did with her, body and face wise. I just wish they gave her some better outfits to pick from. And Jade is the same way. I actually really like Jade's zombie version, her Revenant version, but um, I don't want to have be a character with green skin. I want to be a character with normal skin colors. So, I like when I want to play Jade, the one of the only black characters in the game. I don't want to have her with like gray green skin. I want to actually play as Jade the way I remember her. And so again, you don't have to make her basically naked and barely covered at all, but something cool would be nice. And so when I compare that to Tifa in FF7 remake, she's still wearing a short skirt, but she's got shorts under, but again they're very short. It's very like it's very like believable. This is what a real human would wear. Like this is very sporty girl attire. This is very like peppy, full of energy. This girl, you could tell, is like, an athlete. And that's what they're going for. It was athletic style of clothing because she's a fist fighter and she's going to be a fast character. And because she wears a skirt over her shorts, that shows her like feminine personality because she could just be wearing like pants and dress like a man, right? But she doesn't dress like a man. She has very long hair. She has she's still showing her legs somewhat. She's got socks on, but big deal. And she looks very like a feminine athlete. It's this cross between cute but not sexual, and tough but not pure manliness, right? It's a hard line to cross. I think Rey from Star Wars Episode 7 nailed it. I think a lot of people really like Rey because she is cute but not over sexualized. I think that's something that we should kind of strive for when it comes to a leading role female character. I don't think every female character needs to be super sexual unless the game is going for that style. But I don't think that belongs in every game. Like for Final Fantasy VII, does it really belong in the game? That's the question, and I would agree it really doesn't. Now, should characters though be wearing like all long pants, cover their arms and shoulders, show no cleavage, have short hair, or keep their hair in a ponytail and buns only, hiding all their feminine features? No, I don't think that's believable because I don't think real women want to dress like that. I don't think real women want to look like that. And I would say, you might say, oh, real women come in all shapes, sizes. Yeah, but represent that, please. Don't just represent, masculine women. Represent all women and represent typical, average women, the majority of women. And don't tell me that the average woman is overweight. I don't believe that because working out and fitness is so fucking popular in this goddamn country. And it's fucking popular all over the fucking world, really, in any privileged first world country. Women and men, a lot of men, are into fitness and trying to look good. And even women who are overweight or just, a little bit over and not perfectly fit are probably dieting. They're probably trying to get into working out. They're probably at least running or doing something at home. Most people want to exercise. Most people want to be healthy. So don't give me this bullshit about the average everyday woman is unattractive or masculine or something. I understand representing all characters, all types. All I'm saying is that to me, it's very believable to have a character like Tifa versus a character like Scarlet or Katana, what they did in Mortal Kombat 11, or even Jade, I think looks a little silly in Mortal Kombat 11. Because Jade's wearing a hood covering her hair. It's like, oh my god, with the covering of hair, and when they do uncover their hair, they have short hair because long hair is too sexualized apparently. Showing legs, showing upper thighs is too sexualized, even though that standard garment for like women is fucking short shorts. Like you go outside right now, especially in the summertime, that's what women are fucking wearing. They're wearing fucking short shorts, okay? Women showing their legs is not hypersexualized. It's actually fucking normal. You know, the only reason like men don't show off their legs like women do is because if we wore like super short shorts, and a lot of men actually do wear short shorts. It's part of like a new trend right now. But the only reason why men don't wear the same things as women is because our crotches would be like completely on display, and it's for everyone's benefit that we don't wear stuff like that. Not to mention, it's a different sense of being comfortable, different sense of, it's not just always fashions, it's a sense of comfortability, and the way our bodies are structured differently, you know. It's not a bad thing, that's all I'm saying is that, women should be able to express their femininity. Women shouldn't be restricted to trying to look masculine because if they show their hair, that's too sexualizing of women and it puts women down because in a game, men are going to be playing the game, and so they might not understand that women are expressing their own femininity. So we have to make characters super non-sexual. I just think that's completely ridiculous. Especially because the things that are being censored a lot of times aren't even that sexual. Like in my opinion, hair and legs are not sexual. I disagree with that completely. I know people are attracted to those things, but oh my god, men being attracted to women. Oh, what's the world coming to? It's just ridiculous. Like, yeah, fine, they're attracted to it. Who cares? If men, a lot of men objectify women and don't see women as equal people right now in this world. I don't think that's because of video games, because I think the world's becoming less sexist as time moves on. I think video games can tell really great stories. I think video games could even touch on these issues of expressing femininity in certain ways. I think Wonder Woman has done great wonders for this. In for example, I think Wonder Woman comics. I was already into feminism when I was reading Wonder Woman comics growing up. Well, not growing up. I was probably already grown up. I would say like late high school, early college years. I was reading Wonder Woman stuff, and I was already into feminism, and I just really liked it. And then, yeah, I think that women should be able to express their femininity, and I think that we need to have role models in games that do that. I don't think it should be like Mortal Kombat 11. I think Mortal Kombat 11 is not a true feminist art design. I think it's a fucking faux ass, fucking fake ass. Well, faux is fake, but I think it's a fake ass art design trying to like be like, oh, this is what feminists want because we don't want people to bitch and complain. It's like, no, these aren't real characters. This is just like, oh, every single female character is wearing outfits that cover all of their skin and don't show their hair at all. Come the fuck on with that. Come the fuck on with that. Like, women are conscious that men are going to see them as sex objects, therefore they try to look not as sexual at all. No, they don't. No, they don't. Women are proud of being women. Women want to look good. And I'm not saying women need to be the ire of a man's attention. I'm not saying women need to dress in provocative ways to get men's attention. It has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with women expressing themselves and who they are on the inside. That's how it fucking matters. So again, when I talk about all of this stuff, when I talk about sexuality and femininity and all these things in games and women looking hot in games and why it's important for women to look hot in games, it's like there is a point to it all. It's not like I'm just sitting here saying I don't understand the female perspective and blah blah blah. I fucking understand it, okay? I just think that game journalists push this shit way too far, and now we're getting to this weird place where it's kind of too far. But you have to also understand that video games were in the polar opposite during the 2000s, where 2000s it was all like sex appeal out the ass, and everything was catered to men, and to the point where it was fucking obnoxious. If you thought games were obnoxious now, they were fucking obnoxious back then. Every character was the same. It was a man with short brown hair. There was always a love interest. Sometimes they were like super sexual, sometimes they weren't, but they're just, again, a love interest was always there. It was always about that shit. It was always the same thing every time, a love story or and it'd be like in a game that didn't make any sense for that, and that's why a game like Gears of War I actually really appreciated, because it wasn't in that, like, you didn't play as a character with like, yeah, you had short brown hair, but he also was like a scarred up dude who was killing people and hanging out with dudes all day. It was meant to be a callback to action movies from like the 80s. That's really what Gears of War was about. That was Cliffy B's original intention. And someone asked him one day if we'll see female cog soldiers in the next game, and he basically said yeah. And that's why Gears of War 3 had female characters, because he kind of realized, like, oh shit, I'm not representing everyone. I'm just catering my game to men. And I think the Gears of War trilogy is a beautiful game with a lot of story and emotion. I think those games exemplify why old 80s action movies can be really good, and also exemplifies why games with action settings can be really good. And I look at Gears 4 and Gears 5 without Cliffy B's you know direction over it, and those games just are, they just seem so you know uh soulless to me. They seem so soulless. I haven't even played 4, and maybe 4 is actually good, but both 4 and 5 just don't seem appealing to me in the slightest. And I just don't care, to see a franchise that I actually really like to get turned into something completely different with completely different characters. It's like, okay, what's the point? I like Gears of War. It feels like I'm reading a spin-off comic versus playing Gears of War 4 or Gears of War 5. So, in my opinion, I don't want to see short-haired, butchy women in every game. And that's the thing. When you say a statement like that, people might say, "Oh, well, you don't like those characters. You want every character to be super feminine. You want them to be have a hot body. You want them to show off their feminine features, show their legs and shit." No, it's not what I'm saying. But I am saying it seems like every fucking female character now, whether it be the lead main character or just the lead female when there was a male main character, they're all the fucking same. They're all the fucking same. They look all the fucking same. I'm sick of it. Do something different. At least Ellie in Last of Us 2 looks like an actual lesbian, because she is an actual lesbian. But at the same time, she doesn't look like the stereotypical tomboy girl that they keep making for all these fucking games. At least she actually looks like a real human being who's believable with personality, the same way Tifa is. I'm fine with that. That's how it should be. I don't like this. I don't like what we're getting with like all these other games, man. It's annoying. It's annoying, dude. And the thing is that I'm saying it used to be annoying with men too. It used to be so annoying back then. Stop. I just want some games with some originality and some soul behind them. That's why when you get a game like Nier Automata from Japan, where they don't have to deal with this fucking bullshit, and people are making games they're passionate about versus making games that'll sell well, because the companies like EA and Ubisoft and Activision who push this fucking bullshit, they're like, oh well, right now the numbers say that female characters are popular, so instead of making the male character who's white with short brown hair, let's make a female character who's white with short brown hair. It's like, stop it. No more, please. And I think that some of my female friends, it's weird calling them female, but some of my friends who are girls, I just don't want to call them girlfriends because I'm not dating them. Some of my friends who are girls or women, did have told me that they really do like games more when a female character's protagonist, because they can relate to it more. And that's why a lot of my friends tell me they like Tomb Raider when I'm like, why do you like Tomb Raider? The game is trash. And that game is terrible. Let's not kid ourselves. But to them, it's like their first game like that. And so they think it's super impressive, not realizing that there's other games like Uncharted that just do it way better. So, or other games that are like RPGs that just do it way better. Because to them, this is like one of their first big third-person open world. Well, maybe not open world, but it's one of their big third-person with like light RPG elements kind of game that has a lot of exploration and story-heavy moments. So they think it's like really cool. And I get that, but to me, as like a mainstream hardcore gamer who plays like everything, I would say nope. There's just better games with female protagonists, in my opinion, and a lot of them come from Japan because people making games they're passionate about versus games that are trying to cater to what's popular right now. I think Naughty Dog is doing it fine. I think they're doing it because they know how to write good characters, and that's really important in games is the writing. In my opinion, if the game's got good gameplay, that's what matters more. But the writing needs to be good too. Let's be real. So, that's my opinion. I know I talked more about everything versus just Tifa's boobs. But But whatever, dude. I just think that Tifa's boobs don't fucking matter at all, man. I just don't understand why people are even. I understand people talking about it because they want to get clicks. They want to talk about boobs. They want to rile up people who think that Tifa's not supposed to look like this, even though why the hell would she not look like this? Like she should actually have comically big double D titties. Like it's so disingenuous. It's so fucking disingenuous to say that you actually want that. You're so full of shit. You don't actually care. You don't actually know what you want. You're just fucking trying to fucking start some shit up. I really don't believe that's what you want. And people who say no, I really want it. I feel like you're just trying to like spite everyone now. And it's just a big troll effort. The idea that you really want this is driving me crazy. Especially because they're literally still big, and that's literally fine. Like, oh my god, it's not like they fucking gave her B cups, man. It's not like they fucking gave her a masculine body like they did with fucking Captain Marvel. Like when they redesigned Captain Marvel, who she used to be this skinny chick with long hair and big hips and big nice tits, and they turned her into a character with short hair and a masculine body, and now we have that in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. When you look at fucking what they do with Tifa, Tifa looks like Tifa still. Tifa still has her personality. They didn't change Tifa. Tifa is still Tifa. They just made her outfit make a little bit more sense. They gave her a sports bra and athletic shorts under her skirt. It makes sense. It looks good. Shut the fuck up, you fucking idiots. Like, you're fucking idiots. And you don't even actually care. That's what really pisses me off, is that you don't actually care. You just want to fucking fight over something. And just shut up and let me enjoy my fucking games, man. Alright. That's it. That's all I have to say, is just shut the fuck up and let me enjoy my games. Alright, I'll see you guys on the next one. Later!